I tried going completely caseless for a week, thinking that it was gonna be freeing. But honestly, there's so many things they don't tell you, and the internet just sells you a dream. Everyone online claims that the phone looks cleaner, that it feels a lot more premium, and that you get this kind of sense of freedom. So I wanted to put those three things to the test, and so I went caseless myself for an entire week. All right, so I'm gonna dive straight into my day one shocks and first impressions, and that's that this phone is incredibly slippery in every way that it can be. So I'm using my iPhone 16 Plus for this test, and this phone has zero grip on it whatsoever. I can't stress how much I would place my phone on any surface that wasn't completely flat and it would just slide off entirely. The phone feels like on every surface it's on, it wants to throw itself off it. And it's actually a miracle how mine didn't, but I caught it trying to do so many times. My second impression was the overheating, because your phone pretty much turns into a little portable oven that you carry around with you every single day. Now, I don't entirely know if this is a full iPhone 16 Plus issue or if it's just that I overuse my phone, but every single time I had it without a case, I felt that it was overheating and it would become very uncomfortable in your hands. And like I said, you just felt like you had a little oven with you at all times. Now, those two things were my first impressions, and I thought that everything else was gonna be smooth sailing and that I was gonna enjoy having the phone caseless for the rest of the week. And I was so wrong in thinking that, because I hadn't even gotten to the worst part about the entire week: the misclicks. Keep in mind, I have an iPhone 16 Plus, and although the phone is already big, I had never had issues with misclicks in any way because I usually have big, bulky 3-piece cases. But the second I took the case off, this became my worst nightmare. Any single time I went to touch any part of the screen that was on the upper half, I would misclick something on the bottom right that would change whatever it is I was doing. Keep in mind that by the way we do grab our phones, anytime you try to reach the top corner or something similar, your hand naturally wraps around the screen of the phone. And usually with a case, when your hand does end up wrapping around the screen, you don't tap on anything because your hand isn't close to the screen. But when you don't have a case on it, that becomes the complete opposite, and you end up misclicking on every corner of the screen you can because of the bezels being so thin and you not having any padding. So let's talk examples. I would be watching a video on YouTube, trying to switch my grip, and my video would go on 2x speed. I could be on Instagram and try to reach something in the top right corner to read my messages, and I was suddenly in my profile. Now, these might be small issues to some of you, but for me, there were things that are just really annoying and things that I didn't have to go through if I would just put the case on the phone. And keep in mind, these aren't things that just happen once a day. If you think about how much media we consume on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube in a single day, imagine every few minutes on those apps, your video just randomly goes on 2x speed, and you randomly enter your Instagram profile when that wasn't at all what you wanted to do. This obviously became a very big annoyance for me and just made me dread having the phone without a case. After already having a bad experience of having my phone without a case, I ended up running into another issue, which again just made the entire experience worse than it should have been. I noticed that whenever I went to text somebody, the typing felt awkward and uncomfortable. Obviously, the only change that I had done to my phone was the fact that I took the case off, so I immediately knew that that was the issue. When you actually have a case on your phone, the bezel space and the actual silhouette of the phone obviously becomes bigger, which means that your thumbs aren't needing to reach the absolute smallest corners of the bezels because you have the little padding that the case gives you. Now, obviously, if you strip the case away, now you're left with pure bezels that are millimeters thin and that obviously don't offer any support in terms of typing. So what would happen, and this might just be me because I was so accustomed to already having a big case, but I found that my fingers would end up getting uncomfortable because I had to stretch them out towards the edges so much. And again, this is a big phone that I'm using, so I'm sure that if I tried this with a smaller 6.1-inch iPhone 16 or 17, my experience would be even worse. And finally, the last thing in this week that ended up feeling a lot longer than it should have was that I felt that I had no peace of mind when it actually came to holding my phone. Whenever I had my phone in any situation, the only thing I could think about was don't drop it. And that's an exhausting feeling that just becomes really annoying and unnecessary when all you can do is just put a $20 case on it and that feeling goes away. Every drop that I had felt like it could be the last one and the one that was gonna send me to the Apple store to get another one. It means you have to be way too careful with your phone, which gives you no calm and no peace in your day-to-day. And now we can actually talk about the little good that did come from this week. The first thing being that the phone is absolutely beautiful. I found myself staring at it so many times and just feeling the materials on the back case and on the side. When you actually see the phone in sunlight at night and just in many different settings, you get to appreciate how beautiful the phone and the craftsmanship that Apple have given us actually is. The buttons are a lot more tactile and premium since you're not just clicking a plastic or rubbery case, but you're actually clicking on the phone. And when you do take the case off, the phone feels a lot thinner. Now that thinness isn't necessarily a good thing, like I did mention previously, because it did bring me a world of problems. But if the problems I faced aren't yours, then you are gonna enjoy having a much slimmer phone in your pocket. So in summary, the looks were incredible, the feel as well, but the risk that everything else brought me just wasn't worth it in any way. So is this something I'd do again? I honestly don't think I would. I had way too many things go wrong for me to even think about having my phone caseless in the future. What do you guys think? Would you risk going caseless for a week like I did, or is it just not for you? Leave it all in the comments down below and I'll try to answer as soon as I can. If you guys are new to the channel and you haven't seen any of my other videos, I'm gonna have two listed in the end screen, so go ahead and click those if they do interest you. If you are interested in seeing a little more BTS that isn't necessarily put on YouTube, my Instagram is going to be linked down below and the handle is going to be on screen. If you are interested in becoming a channel member like nobody else is and getting a ton of exclusive perks, then go ahead and do that. It's right next to the subscribe button down below. And well, I guess since there's nothing left to be said, I thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one.